Speaker, one Renton, choosing rationally. His choice of something else rather than life is his concern. It may not be my choice or yours, but it cannot by itself be irrational. De gustibus non disputandum est, as they say. But his claiming to have no reason is a different matter, for, as language suggests, and as we shall see, there is an intimate connection between reason and rationality. Indeed, Renton himself soon provides a reason. People think it's all about misery and desperation and death and all that shite, which is not to be ignored, but what they forget is the pleasure of it. Otherwise we wouldn't do it. After all, we're not stupid. At least, we're not that stupid. And with enviable practicality, he continues, when you're on junk, you have only one worry, scoring. When you're off it, you have to worry about all sorts of other shite. Got no money? Can't get pished. Got money? Drinking too much. Can't get a bird? No chance of a ride. Got a bird? Too much hassle. You have to worry about bills, about food, about some football team that never wins, about human relationships, and all the things that really don't matter. All choices, just as Renton's, arise from both the heart and the head. The heart provides the passion, and the head the reasons. Choices based on the most minute reasoning, but lacking any desire, are vacuous. But desire without reason is impotent. It is fit only for the enraged child who wants both to go home and not to go home. Aristotle, 384 to 322 BCE, the founder of choice theory, and indeed of logic itself, identifies the connection. The origin of choice is desire and reasoning with a view to an end. This is why choice cannot exist without reason. Or, more precisely, choice is deliberate desire. And David Hume, 1711 to 76, that beacon of the Scottish Enlightenment, famously claims that reason is, and ought only to be, the slave of the passions. Passions themselves, even Renton's, are neither reasonable nor unreasonable. A passion can never, in any sense, be called unreasonable. Thus, it is not contrary to reason to prefer the destruction of the whole world to the scratching of my finger. It is not contrary to reason for me to choose my total ruin to prevent the least uneasiness of an Indian. A framework. Reasonableness is a property of patterns of choices, not of individual choices. There is nothing irrational in wanting to go home, but there is something amiss in wanting both to go home and not to go home. There is nothing irrational in Renton's choosing heroin, but his choice looks odd if he also chooses to avoid the possibility of misery, desperation, and death. Thus, to explore what it means to be rational, we must look at patterns of choices. We must look at the way in which choice changes when the menu changes. This framework of menus and choices needs some explanation. By a menu, I mean a list of items from which choice must be made. But unlike a restaurant menu, a menu in our sense is set out in such a way that something must be chosen. A simple restaurant menu might be sandwiches, avocado, bacon. This would allow the replete to choose nothing and the hungry to choose both. The corresponding menu in our sense would be items, nothing, avocado alone, bacon alone, both. Now, by construction, some item must be chosen, even if that item is the one labelled nothing. However, we must allow for ties, that is, for more than one item to be chosen jointly. For example, avocado alone may tie with bacon alone. To say that these two items tie, or are chosen jointly, is just to say that we are equally content with either. It does not mean that we consume both. In the face of a tie, you may imagine that we rely on some arbitrary tiebreaker, such as tossing a coin, and then consume the winner. Without this artificial device, we could find ourselves in the same position as Buridan's ass, the creature of the scholastic philosopher Jean Buridan, 1295 to 1358. This unfortunate animal, placed midway between two identical bales of hay, starved to death because he had no reason for moving one way rather than the other. As an illustration of the way in which rationality may be found or not found in patterns of choices, consider the sandwich menu. Faced with this, you choose avocado. There can be nothing irrational in this. However, when the waiter arrives to take your order, he tells you that cheese is also available.